Okay, so I just determined that the scratchiness didn't go away on this tone control. I'm going to have to remove it and replace it. The knob off the nut, drop it down through, fish it through with the dental pick, get it over here and see if I can desolder it and remove it through this F-hole. As a pre-check, it's tight to get the new one in. It'll pass through there, but it's going to take some doing. So I think this is going pretty well. We'll probably be able to pull this out here, and then I'll protect this and lay it down and do the solder stuff. I want this plate to come off, give me perhaps a little bit more access. So I'm going to pull that off, lay the thing down, and we'll get back to it. The dentist pick is right where I want it to help leverage that control out of there. I think I'd like to leave it as is for the moment. It'd be nice if it would just pop right out. I think we'll get there. Alright, good. This is the clean rag. Shirt that I just dedicated to this. And this is ready to pull it back through when it's done. So I basically want now to desolder this and then transfer the wiring over to this baby. I'm not quite sure how easy it's going to be to see this, but I've got my soldering iron, some solder. Soldering iron's all preheated. I've got some solder wick. I have flux handy, but I may not need to add any flux. Sometimes when you're desoldering, it helps a lot. Put some flux on it. Got a whole blob of solder I need to get off of here. So if I need to use a little torch or something, I could. Now when I say that, I'm referring to a little one like this. It's intended for, soldering to a chassis or something. Shouldn't be necessary. And a lot of times we can get the connection loose off of the control and not have to worry about cleaning all the solder off, because we aren't going to use it again. But the keys here are to protect the surface of the guitar. It's a nice guitar, nice finish. And to get good contact, we can get the bulk of this off of here. Okay, that's free. I gotta figure out what's holding on over here now. Take care of that. Alright, so we got the old control out. Need to put a dab of solder on the cap to hold it in place on the new control. And I put it back in the way they had it, holding the lead that's going to be grounded to the case of the control, and just touch a little solder there. That should hold it in place for a bit. I can go back in and do a nicer full-fledged solder joint there. But I got this down in the flush, and the next step is to try and get a little solder to take there. Bending these back a little bit to both make it easier to go into the F-hole and also kind of make this look a little bit more compact the way the original. So the original, something like that, and the new one, these tabs were sticking out like that, so by bending them back I got them a little more compact. I've got the cabling just about identical to the way it came off. What I want to do is, once I get a little more slack in my soldering iron cord, touch this in here, get a nice hot solder joint. So I'm using a little spring tension from the lead of the cap to hold that in place. Get some solder to flow to the case. And make sure I catch that tone capacitor at the same time. I've got some rosin paste flux, so I'll try dabbing a touch on that. Put it where you want solder to be, which is on the back face of this control and the wires. Solder's actually flowing to the case of the control now. This lead-free solder, they've really come a long way with it. This silver bearing solder gets the job done without exposing you to all that lead hazard. That's nice. Let's see if I can get that to flow just a touch more. Oh, we've got a nice new control soldered in here. Nice hot solder joints. You need to clean off the flux residue from the soldering process. A lot of it drizzled down onto the rag. Another reason to have a protective rag over the finish of a nice guitar like this. So as we clean this up, it gives us a chance to inspect our work as well. Make sure that we have a good hot solder joint. You're cleaning off the flux. You're also making sure you've got a nice hot solder joint in place. You're going to have to gently ream this hole open a little bit. Here are the numbers. Just a 3/8, it's just under 370 thousandths. This hole, I'm going to guess, is like 9 millimeters maybe. Let's have a look. It's like 350. Now, at the risk of making the understatement of the year, I got to be really careful opening this hole up. I only have to open it up around, what did I say, about 15 or 20 thousandths of an inch. So I can do that with a file. I'm going to try running a drill bit backwards, sort of burnish the hole open. If I don't, and I don't want to go through the back side of the guitar, obviously. So this is a 3/8 drill bit, and running this backwards, okay, and that goes in now. So, too early to claim victory, but progress. Not bad at all. Let's see, pull this through. It should now be at least possible for the control to go through the body of the guitar. In my estimation, the hard part's over with. Get this baby up here. We had that little size change thing, but it looks like I've got it. It's okay, we have a 1/2 inch wrench. This one is ground down for special work, but it'll work for this. As we tighten this, we're drawing the control up through the body a little bit more, and then we'll hit a point where the lock washer engages. We'll get a little torque after that, so this doesn't go anywhere after that. Little impulses. Without overdoing it. And you should face the same way. That should be it. I'll test it out. So a quick test drive, make sure the tone control is working pretty well. We've tightened up the jack, done a restringing, intonation, sprayed a couple controls, and replaced the tone control.
scratchy.